Hey guys and gals, John here. I got another great recipe for you. I know I've been MIA for a while, but I was out looking for some food. The zombies are still frozen and slow moving. Easy for me to get away. So tonight, I'm gonna whip up a batch of Johnny's black bean soup. I hope you guys like it. Cooking with the vegan zombie. Really simple ingredients for this recipe. Obviously, you can't have black bean soup without a big old bowl of black beans. Now, black beans are super easy to make. I use a slow cooker. I'll soak my beans overnight for about 12 hours or more. And then when I get home from zombie hunting, I'll put it right in the slow cooker. I'll drain them, rinse them, put them in my slow cooker, crank it on high. When I wake up the next morning, the beans are nice and tender and ready to go. I would recommend doing it that way every time instead of buying the canned stuff. Always buy dry. I don't salt it or anything, so that's all you got right here. Just straight up black beans. I have 1 cup of jalapenos and 1 cup of red bell pepper, chopped up. I've got 1 rib of celery, 1 medium onion, or a munion, if you will. A kind of a medium dice on there. 4 cloves of garlic minced. I've got 4 cups of homemade veggie stock that we're gonna add to the party. And our seasonings, we've got cumin, smoked paprika, salt, pepper. That's about it, you guys. I mean, a little bit of olive oil for the pan. No, it's not Elmer's glue. That's not vegan. This is actually homemade cashew sour cream. Out in my search, I found a nice little squeeze bottle. This size is great for someone like me who's a loner out there. And you can't make a big giant batch because by the time you get down to there, it's no good anymore. So this is like, I don't know, a few days worth of cashew sour cream. We have a recipe for this already, so why don't you check the link below and you can learn how to make your very own cashew sour cream. Alright guys, so I've got myself a nice soup pot. Whatever you have at home will work unless it's a frying pan. Don't try to make a black bean soup in a frying pan. It will not work. Maybe it'll work. I'm gonna start with a medium heat and 1 or 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Let's get that heating up a little bit. We're gonna add these onions first. Let them sizzle away for about 5 minutes until you start to see some color on them. Stir them occasionally. If I were gonna put a word to it, it would be occasionally. Occasionally. I'm gonna add our peppers next. And our little bit of celery here. Saute this up for another 4 or 5 minutes till everything kind of softens up. We're gonna add that garlic. Be careful with the garlic at this point. You know I never like to take that garlic to brown town. You want to keep it almost like a golden color. So really, with this heat, maybe a minute, then we'll add the black beans right to it. I have about 6 cups. The other black beans I'll use later on in the week for maybe some black bean tacos. But this is about what I use. I'll ladle in about 6 or 7 ladles with the bean juice is fine. At this point, when it's in here, I'm gonna crank the heat up a little hotter. I'm gonna put some of our seasoning in. 2 teaspoons of that smoked paprika. Maybe a little more because I love it. 2 teaspoons of cumin. A little salt now. I would say 1.5 teaspoons of salt. You're gonna wanna season it to taste at the end with salt and pepper. I'm gonna spill most of it on the floor, but I'm gonna add 2 cups of veggie broth. Bring this to a boil. That was the end of the sentence. I don't know why I made it sound like I had something else to say after that. Once it comes to a boil, you guys, I'm actually gonna pop this cover on and let it simmer for about 20 minutes. That's gonna let all those flavors get to know each other and hang out. Just walk away. So this is the point where you want to thicken it up a little bit. I'll take my immersion blender, which is just this handy dandy little tool, and stick it right in there. Just turn it on and pulse it a few times. I like black bean soup to have a little bit of texture to it, so I don't want to blend it until completely smooth. I'll just do it until it's at the consistency that I'd like. If you don't have an immersion blender and you have a regular blender, you can cool this down a little bit. Don't put it in so it's piping hot because you can hurt yourself, but let it cool down a little, blend it, and then you can heat it back up. If it's a little thin, go ahead and let it simmer for another 20 minutes or so just to thicken it up. You don't need a thickener for this soup. You can just let it cook down a tiny bit. The flavors are even more powerful when it cooks down a little, so that's good too. I would say another 15 to 20 minutes of cooking this. Leave it uncovered so that a little bit more evaporation occurs. This is the point in the game where you're gonna want to season it to taste. A little bit more salt, a some fresh cracked pepper. I'm gonna do that right now, right over the top. And then I'm gonna do another, probably 2 teaspoons of salt for this big of a pot. Remember, there's a lot of soup up in here. If you wanted to leave it a little on the bland side and then let your zombie friends add their own salt, that's cool too. For those of you that like cilantro, this would be the part where you want to toss that in with the soup, fold it into the soup. Everybody I know doesn't like cilantro, so I'm gonna use parsley, which works great for this recipe as well. Toss in that parsley. I like to put stuff on top of my soup. I'm gonna put pieces of avocado on top of this soup. Sometimes I put spinach or kale. I just really like a nice crunchy bite with soup. Avocado's not crunchy, but you get the point. Something with a little bit of texture. Oh, look at how creamy that is. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right, now I'm gonna ladle some soup into a bowl. Perf. That's enough to keep the zombies away for a while. Mmm, right on top. Yes. A little bit more parsley and Elmer's wood glue. Just kidding. Cashew sour cream. There you have it, folks. What goes better with soup than a nice, delicious piece of bread? So I got myself a big, long baguette. Kind of reminds me of my old sawed-off shotgun from back in the day. Let's see if that still works. Cool. There's nothing more fun just ripping off a piece of bread, dipping it in your soup, and giving it the old taste test. Mmm. Such a nice, hearty, cheap meal. I mean, this is gonna last me probably 4 days. Yeah, sure, I'm gonna look like a black bean soup. It's really yummy. You guys need to try this out, especially if it's cold where you are, because it will keep you warm. What's important about this dish is that layer of flavors. The sour cream mixed with the avocado and the little pieces of parsley and the soup. Make sure you check this recipe out. Give it a good old like and a share. Subscribe and survive. I'll see you soon.